I'm 100% committed.
And there it is, the moment that four-star running back Chauncey Bowens officially flipped his commitment from Florida to Georgia. The Gators' top running back commitment in the 2024 class plucked away by the defending champs. Bowens and DJ Lagway were really the two centerpieces to the Gators class, but big dogs came barking, and then you saw it. Chauncey Bowens flipped to Georgia over the weekend while on campus for an official visit. So let's bring on Dawgs HQ publisher Rusty Mansell. Rusty, tell me the backstory here. Take us behind the scenes on Chauncey Bowens flipping, because just a week ago, he was telling UF reporters, all the UF reporters, he was 100% locked in to his UF commitment. Was this in the works for a while, or was this an emotional decision he made on a visit?
No, I think this has been in the works for a while. You know, obviously you got to say it, you got to do it. But I thought it was going to happen in March at one point. I was real close. In fact, we had a story just in case, the previous place I was at, and I'm sure that Jake Rowe and those guys had a story ready just in case for Chauncey Bowens he ever were to actually flip. But this one's been really close for a while. Florida privately had to know that Georgia was a real threat here, no matter what he was saying publicly. Because, look, Josh, he got to campus. He ate dinner, he put on a uniform, and he committed in front of the other Georgia commits. You know what I mean? You don't see that too often. So, when he got there, he had that in mind, and he got it done. And you got to give it up to Dale McGee, stayed after one of his top targets, and then landed him this weekend.
So, Rusty, this leads me to my next question, because Chauncey Bowens wasn't the only running back on campus. The nation's #1 overall back, Nathaniel Frazier, was also in Athens over the weekend. So, what does this mean for Frazier's recruitment? Because I have a feeling, he was there for a reason. I don't think Georgia is full at the running back position.
They're not. They're going to try to take 3 if they get the right mix in this class. It had some guys banged up. And you look at Dwight Phillips and who they got. He's a 10-3, 100-meter, one of the fastest players in the country. He's kind of that all-purpose back. He can do a lot of different things. So they're trying to get some thunder and lightning kind of together with these guys. And you look at Frazier, and here's our old buddy – Martin Simmons says, follow the visits. You know what I mean? That's always stuck with me. And he was in town for the spring game. He came back in town this past weekend, Josh, unofficial visit, which is key to me. When you come across country on an unofficial visit and you've got that official visit saved, I know he's got trips to Alabama and Oregon set up, but right now I think Nate Frazier is a guy that Georgia is really dialed in on and hearing some really strong things behind the scenes. We'll see if Georgia can add him to this class at some point this summer.
Yeah, they really need a running back commitment, let me tell you, Rusty. But these weren't the only guys on campus. Let's take a look at some of the big dogs that were in Athens. You got 5-star KJ Bolden, 5-star Mike Matthews, 5-star Edric Houston, 4-star edge Jordan Ross. We mentioned Nathaniel Frazier and Chauncey Bowen. All right, what are your sources saying on KJ Bolden after this official visit? Says, now you talked to his father, who said KJ may be real close to finding his college destination. What does real close mean to you?
Listen, I think Georgia's had a good spot with him for a long time. Now, I'm not saying this thing is over with by any means, because we talked to KJ in Nashville a couple of times, kind of off the record, and there's going to be some visits. He was going to go to Clemson. He was going to go to Georgia. He was going to go to Ohio State and do his due diligence there. So right now I think Georgia could be a team you kind of watch with him, but this one's not over. But super, super talented young man out of Buford High School and a player that Georgia has recruited now basically, Josh, for 3.5 years.
Yeah, he's been to campus probably more than anybody else in this class. Now let's talk about 2 more in-state 5-stars. Mike Matthews and Edric Houston feel like kind of heading into the weekend. These were 2 recruits that UGA had some work to do. Coming out of the weekend, Rusty, did they get it done?
I think neither one is what you would say done. I think Georgia had a chance to have them and their families on campus and kind of say, hey, this is what we got. The one thing I thought with Edric for a while now, you just kind of get that vibe he's going to end up out of state. And it just happens. People are like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? But I think kind of behind the scenes, Ohio State has been the team probably in the lead. He took his visit to Clemson. They took his visit to Georgia, and he has one left to Ohio State too. So I think that's the team to watch. how much did Georgia close the gap behind the scenes? That will be told kind of over the next couple of days. But right now, if we're talking about Edric Houston, I think he's going to end up out of state. Mike Matthews, super, super talented 5-star wide receiver from right up the road.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one nugget on that, Josh. He's a great basketball player. Well, this weekend, I don't know how big of a deal it was, but he was able to sit down and meet with the UGA basketball staff. So I think, Georgia at least took a major swing there. And the one thing I can tell you, Josh, after being with those 3 players in Nashville, our NIL Elite Series, those 3 kids were inseparable. So I'm not saying they're a package deal, but they're all 3 very close, even though they go to 2 different high schools.
All right, let's move to the edge position. 4-star Jordan Ross. Now, he was at UF last week, and he gave that visit a 10. But right now, the Dogs have a slight lead on the recruiting prediction machine over Tennessee. Do you agree with it that coming out of his official visit to Georgia that the Dogs lead here?
It's hard with this visit high, man. I mean, we filmed this on Monday, so it's hard to say lead. I'm confident that Georgia's going to be in this way all the way until the end. I do know that Georgia's recruiting him really hard. If I had to make a prediction today, I would probably pick Georgia, but he's got a couple of more big visits coming up, and Tennessee certainly is a school that's heavy in the mix. Florida already had him on campus, so we'll see after this Tennessee visit how things go with him. But right now, maybe Georgia has a little bit of momentum with him, just having him on campus. But again, Josh, you got to let that visit high wear off sometimes and see where these guys are on Wednesday and Thursday.
Hey, I don't like to let the visit high wear off. You know that, Rusty. But now, as the dust settles, there's a lot of guys on campus. Who do you feel best about? Who do you think right now, coming out of this big official visit weekend, Georgia fans need to be excited about?
Last week, I was on this very show, and I told you that Georgia made a move with Justin Green. Well, about 2 days later, Justin Green committed to Georgia.
Yeah.
So this week, I'll give you one I felt like Georgia made a move with. That's 4-star defensive lineman Jordan Thomas out of Don Bosco in New Jersey. It's the guy they've been on. Trey Scott. You look at Fran Brown, the New Jersey connection there coming down from Rutgers, who's the DB coach at Georgia. So I'm not saying this one's over, but if you want to pin me up again and say which prospect did Georgia make the biggest move with this weekend, I'll probably say it's Jordan Thomas, the big 4-star defensive lineman out of New Jersey.
All right, I wrote it down, Rusty. We're going to hold you to it. You were gold on the last one. I think you'll hit on this one too. All right, Rusty Mansell, thanks for checking in on a busy Monday morning.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me. And remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.